Yeah, part of the problem is that we were told so many times that you don't die of Parkinson's, you die with it. So it was very hard to even plan. I mean, thankfully, my mother was very plan oriented and time management like me. We take a list of, we make a list, we try to knock off each part, but then you have a backup plan. But with Parkinson's, it was out the window each time. But we
Right.
did try, I wrote a list of everything, like from doctors to chiropractors to pain management, to anything you could dream of. We even had, and this was a funny story, is sure. Yeah, I mean, I've always been an advocate. I think it's what my mother instilled in me to serve others and to help others who might not have a voice or struggle themselves. You have to concentrate if you have the disease or family on that specific area. But before my world of caregiving and advocacy, I always wanted to help victims of crime, but I just wasn't sure how to do it. Had a lot of different opportunities and never dreamt I would be where I am today, whether telling the story of my mother's journey or in the field of criminal justice. But and then I had to shift to my world of caregiving. My
Mhm.
mother had Parkinson's disease, and again, I never knew what it was. I heard the word for about 7, 8 years, but it never impacted my mother so bad that kind of crippled her life, and or we still aren't sure if she just didn't want to burden the family, which I think, and she kept a lot of it inside and didn't share it. When
Mm.
I took over the last 4 years, it was something that even a book that I wrote can't explain 100%. It definitely captures 99%, but in our short time, there's no way to get to it all. That's why I was really excited to share her journey forever through a book. But I felt it was needed because there's so many people out there, I mean, the misconceptions about Parkinson's or just aren't aware. They used to think of it as the elderly man's disease, which isn't true. Females now have it
Right.
increasingly. The fastest growing neurological disease, not just in the US, but around the world. About 1 million people in the US, 10 million throughout the world. And also, there's something called young onset, like Mr. Michael J. Fox, a famous actor. He had it in his 30s. He still has it today.
Right.
Uh, so it's not something that can just go away. But she went from before those 4 years to walking several miles a week to 2 years in a cane, then to the walker for a year, then a wheelchair, and then bedbound for 7 days. So it was so fast and shocking. And we tried to plan, but you can't be really prepared. And that's the worry is it's every person with Parkinson's is different. So
We had a discussion and we were like, I don't know if what is better, the instant
yeah.
or watching them die.
Right,
It's
it
like
was
Yeah, I thought the same thing because the last 7 days in Florida, we don't have death with dignity, so we treat our animals better than our loved ones, which I
oh
don't understand.
yes, yes, definitely.
And those 7 days, like we didn't know if she was gonna pass when, but she had only a heartbeat, but didn't have any ability to speak, eat,
wow,
nothing. So it was like a scene out of a horror movie that you don't want
Oh
to
right,
be
wow.
through.
Yes.
So my goal though with having those people wasn't that they take care of her, just to make sure she didn't fall. Because like I said, if I'm not there and I knew if she fell, would have caused even more problems on top of Parkinson's, on top of everything else. So that was important. But me and my mother had a really, I think it wasn't odd, but some people think odd bond that she was my best friend. We would talk 10 or more times a day. She was the first person I called or turned to, whether I had something good, the bad, or the ugly. Remember, even during 9/11, we're from New York, and I was in law school in a criminal law class, ironically, and they let us out. I saw people in the atrium, like crying. I didn't know what was going on. I called my mother, and she told me the news firsthand. And it was in a horrible situation, but every single thing from there to every graduation, she was right by my side. So today it's tough because holidays like Mother's Day, I
Yeah.
don't have
yeah,
she's not here, so obviously it's we're in a struggle. I got to celebrate for my wife, but
right,
I think she
Right.
gets upset sometimes because I don't like Mother's Day because
right,
and it's not like a normal thing. My mother, I think, lost 15 years of her life living, and maybe 15 after she passed because Parkinson's, I think, took 30 years of her life. So I
Wow.
hate the disease. I hate what it does to anyone. Going through the journey of my mother, I felt alone. And I knew there was stuff out there, but I was confused and lost. So what I
Right.
tried to do on the site is literally put references and organizations like the Michael J. Fox, where they're all over the US and the world globally. So I work with people in the UK. I just interviewed someone who's an expert in Parkinson's nurse in England. And it was a beautiful talk because it's like I love the accent and also it's
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
different, it's a different world, but they all come together for the same purpose. So I love it's beautiful. And so there's resources on the website. You can read this. I've interviewed 600 people around the world, and every morning a new journey shows up, and that's also what inspires me to never give up. So